afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I thought it was time I sought some therapy. I need to make a really hard decision. I called the cops on my fiance last night.
Oh, okay. Well, look, I forgot. I forgot to send you the. I'm sorry. It's my son's service dog. He's all over the place. I apologize, and I didn't even have a chance to send you the informed consent paperwork. So I'll just get that to you. Stop it. Um, I'll get that to you later on today, after we finish our session, and next time we'll go over it. Um, and I'm sorry, I didn't even get your name. What is your name?
it's Samantha.
Samantha. Okay, I apologize, Samantha. And my name is Rebecca. Um, and I see you have a little bandage on your eye. What happened?
Yeah, so my fiance
Stop it! Stop it! Get
he
down! I'm sorry. Keep
yesterday,
going.
and so I went to the doctor, and kind of got a wound. Got to kind of keep it covered up so some of the swelling can go down. Um, But, I had to call the cops yesterday. Just it got too violent, and so I thought it'd be good for me to
Oh
reach
my
out for
goodness!
therapy.
Wow! Wow! Is this like the first time you got violent?
Well, it's happened before in the past, but it's been some time.
Wow! You stayed? Oh my! Okay, keep going.
Well, we have two kids, and sometimes I just want to us to be a family, and
Little dog. Keep going. I'm sorry.
I just want us to be a family, and so I thought I would stay for the kids, and I think he loves me. We do love each other, but sometimes he just gets really angry, you know. And I didn't mean to make him mad yesterday, but I thought he was gonna really hurt me this time.
I mean, but he hit you before, so why did you think it would change? I mean, it's not the first time he did it. Once an abuser, always an abuser. It's from what I've been doing this for such a long time, and I tell people all the time, if he hit you once, you need to leave because he's gonna hit you again. So it's best to get out of it. Are you planning on leaving him this time? I hope.
Well, I was hoping to kind of, go through therapy to kind of understand, how to make that decision for myself. I'm scared of being a single parent with two kids and doing
Well,
this
if you don't
environment.
leave and he keeps doing it, then, I may have to call CPS because you're putting your children at risk of being abused and becoming an abuser. So you don't want that, Stop it.
Yeah,
You definitely don't want that.
CPS came today. He's in jail. We do have a 30-day restraint order, and so I have a little bit of time to try to figure out what to do.
Sure. And are you wanting, because I know you don't want CPS involved in your life, because, just from my own personal experience with them, you really don't want them in your life because once you get involved with CPS, it's just a never ending situation there. So, you have to kind of decide, do you want him or do you want your kids? Have you thought about that?
Yes, I thought about it a lot. I even called and talked to his mom about it. But she kind of told me to suck it up. Like this
Oh,
is
wow.
what they do in their family.
And where's your family? Do you have family members that you can talk to? Because I wouldn't even talk to his family. It seems like his family is, to tell you to suck it up. I mean, you need to leave him and just not talk to his family at all.
Well, my dad, he's addicted to drugs. He's in and out of prison, and
Mm-hmm.
my mom kind of got back in my life, and so I don't know about trusting her so much to tell her about my business.
We just got to get out of here. I'm just tired of dealing with you. I'm listening. I'm sorry. I have to put this dog out. She's just not going to keep still.
Okay.
But carry on. I'm listening. I have to put her. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Um,
Oh, these dogs.
Yeah, my grandmother raised me, but she passed away, kind of like right when I met Damien. So I don't know. I really don't have anyone to talk to, is why I thought I'll come to therapy to get an unbiased, approach, someone to help me make this
Oh
decision.
my God, it seems like you almost been in foster care yourself. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's kind of tough for you. I mean, I think you should, you know, leave him and, get some help for your kids. I mean, are you working? Do you have the financial ability to take care of yourself and your kids?
I mean, yes, I work from home. I'm in the medical field. I'm doing a lot of billing at home because all the
Hmm.
COVID, but I do miss him a lot. I've never really been by myself, especially with the kids.
What do you miss? What keep still? What do you miss with an abuser?
He's not, hitting me all the time. He does, help me financially. He'll go get the groceries because he really doesn't want us to leave the house. Um,
Well, that just seemed like a control person that doesn't want you to leave the house. Was he like that before the pandemic hit?
um, Not really. The pandemic, he's been really freaked out over it. Making sure that we're safe. See, my son, he has really, really bad asthma, like severe asthma. And so,
Hmm.
he doesn't want us to go anywhere, or I can't go anywhere. I have to stay here and take care of the kids. So I know it's tough. He has a lot of pressure on him.
And what does he do?
He's a FedEx driver. And so he delivers, people's stuff, and he's been taking on extra hours just to make sure that we have everything that we need. And,
Hmm.
FedEx is really busy right now.
Hmm. Yeah, I can imagine they're busy. But I mean, you seem like you have a job. You can take care of your own kids. I mean, it seemed like you can take care of your kids. You just deciding not to. You choosing not to do that. You're choosing not to put your kids ahead of what's best for them.
I still take care of my kids. I cook for them, clean for them to make sure that they're happy. Part of the reason why I want him to come back home is for my kids. So they didn't have to grow up how I did without, a family.
Well, is he beating on them as well?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm sure
Does
it's
he
not,
yell
he
at
yells,
them?
he yells at me. I'm sure it's
Hmm.
not good for them to see, him hitting me or yelling at me sometimes.
Hmm. Because you don't want him to start off with you and then, go toward them. That's how, abusers usually do. When I was going through being abused myself, that's how it started. And, I had to leave because it trickled down to my kids. And you have to make that decision on, you have to save your kids because you
Yeah,
don't want it to trickle down to them. And then what happens if your kids start hitting each other? You don't want that to happen either.
yeah, that's kind of what my grandmother said.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm feel so broken and upset on. I've been crying all day. Just I feel so
Mhm.
broken.
Well, you crying because he's hitting you, or you're crying because you are afraid to leave him?
I just hate that we are like this toward each other, and the kids keep asking me, when is Papa coming home, and I don't have an
Are
answer.
they his kids? Do you have do they have different dads? What's going on with that?
Oh no, they're his kids.
Oh.
I've been with him, for the past 7 years.
Mhm.
Um, but it's just, it's hard and just emotionally exhausted from yesterday, the arguing, the fighting, and the cops and CPS. Just so over.
Mhm. So what is CPS telling you? Have they talked to the kids individually?
Yes, they're just doing their investigation right now. They're
Hmm.
probably calling you.
Hmm.
I told them that I am seeking therapy to figure out what's the best thing to do
Hmm.
for my family. And she said she wanted your contact information.
Okay.
Um, but right now they haven't made any recommendations or anything.
Well, I would suggest that you would, not take him back because you don't want to put the kids in danger. Because what if he would have hit you and you not survived it? Or your kids are trying to protect you and he hit them and one of them was injured. You have to think about those things. It's not just about you, it's about your kids. I
Okay,
mean, what type of parent is going to, put their kids at risk? You have to think about those things.
I guess I'm such a horrible mom.
No, I wouldn't call you a horrible mom. You just have to make better decisions. And it starts with you not having your parents. You were raised by your grandmother and, she's not here. So, that's just a vicious cycle. And it happens to, some people. And, it's not your fault, but you have to, change that pattern of behavior. And it can start today if you want it to, and I can help you with that. you know I didn't have the greatest background, but I pulled myself up from the bootstraps, and I dealt with the things I need to deal with, and I am better for it. And I can help you with that, but you have to put your kids first.
You seem so much stronger than I am. I don't even know where to begin to start.
Oh, it's not easy, but you have to put your kids first. You have to not think about what you want for yourself. If you're in an abusive relationship, he has done this before to you, I'm sure more than twice. He's not going to change, and
But
you're able to take care of yourself, which is a plus. So you have to show your children better. And it starts by not taking him back, because if CPS is doing an investigation, you don't want them to take your kids out of the home.
yeah, I guess you're right. But I've heard my friends and people say people do change and they've taken people back. I mean, can't someone change?
They can if they choose to, but have you looked in a mirror? I mean, you have a bandage on your face, look like you have a black eye. I mean, does it look like he's trying to change?
I mean, what if he gets counseling? What if he gets help?
He can do that on his own, but I think for now, maybe you guys need to go your separate ways.
I,
Because would you stay with him while he's trying to get himself together and your kids go into foster care?
no, I don't want that. Um,
Because it may come down to you choosing him or your children. So what would you choose?
just don't think I'm strong enough to do this by myself.
Well, you have me as your counselor. I'm sure, uh, do you have friends that you can lean on?
Um, yeah, but there are mutual friends.
Do you have coworkers that you can, lean on? Do you go to church? Your pastor?
Yeah, I believe in God. I do.
Hmm.
That's why I think people can change, you know?
Does he believe in God?
Yes, he does. He does.
Does
Um,
he go to church?
no, he works a lot, you know?
There's online church.
Yeah.
So maybe he has to work on him outside of being in this relationship.
Yeah. So where do I start? Like this is my first time coming to therapy and
Well, after, we can continue to work on, building you up. And, you know, uh, once I take your payment and I'll email you the forms. You fill out the forms and all that stuff. I'll talk to CPS. I'll let them know that I'm working with you and that you're going to stop communicating with this man. And therefore, your children's going to be safe. And then we're going to continue to work on building your self-esteem because I think you have a low self-esteem. I think you've been controlled. And I think you separating yourself will help you not to be under such control circumstances. So you can learn how to be independent of him, of any man, and you can stand on your own 2 feet and take care of your kids. And maybe, CPS will close that case and you can work on yourself. And
Okay.
you can start to build a support group outside of him and mutual friends that has anything to do with him.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. I mean, I do want my kids to be happy and make sure that they're okay.
Yeah, I think it'll work out. I think you'll be fine. I think the major thing is, and it's just coming from experience, that you need to let that go because he's hurting you and you don't want him to hurt your kids. Let him figure out his life outside of you. If he wants to change, he'll do it on his own. He's not going to do it attached to you.
Yeah, that's so hard to do, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, we will. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. And if you need companionship, get you an emotional support dog like I got for my son. They're a handful, but they help.
Okay.
And I know it's a lot. We're talking about a lot, but we'll process it all.
Okay, so
We'll definitely. You can count on me, girl.
okay.
Yeah.
So do we schedule for next week?
Yeah, we'll schedule every week. I don't take your insurance, but I do charge. It's $125 an hour, and we'll go from there.
Okay. I have this.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
and we'll look at some different support groups for you, and we'll figure it out. I'll help you figure it out. Don't worry, I got you.
Okay, I appreciate that, Miss Rebecca.
No problem, girl. No problem. No problem. But, I may cut it a little short today because, these dogs are really, all over the place today. But we will reconvene next week, same time. And I will go ahead and email you all the paperwork, all the forms. And then next week we'll go over them and just backdate it for this week since we talked this week. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. And then when you sign it, then I'll sign it, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Thank you. Mhm.
My name is Natasha Jones, and I'm one of the PhD students at Texas Wesleyan.
Hi, I'm Fancy, and I'm also a PhD student at Texas Wesleyan. And Natasha is actually here to meet me to pretty much discuss what it takes to become a counselor, as far as the different tracks and the overlapping similarities and also the differences. And so that's why we're here today.
All right. So, Fancy, thank you so much for meeting me today because, I've had a passion about, pursuing a career in counseling, and I have no idea where to start. So I'm so grateful that you're meeting me today. So, just kind of, share some of your wisdom with me of how to get started in pursuing my career as a counselor.
Tasha, I'm glad you mentioned that because I actually do have this list of things that I would love to show you about and explain to you about what it is to become a counselor. You know, get
Okay.
past the good stuff. Well, don't get to the good stuff, really. Let's see. So, what is it about counseling that kind of brought you there? Like,
Well, I really have a passion for helping people. And I realize that, I can give money, that's just a temporary type of fix. But when you kind of help people with help them deal with some of the stuff that's going on inside of them. And I really want to be, one of those people to kind of help them deal with that stuff that's going on inside of them, some of those past traumas or, that's affecting their life today and stuff like that.
okay, that seems very genuine. I'm glad that's the reason why. But so to actually make that dream into reality, at the start of pursuing the mental health field, it can be very overwhelming, to say the least. Many people actually are unaware or lack the knowledge what it actually takes or what to even know how to begin, how to take that first step.
Right.
And so to begin with, there are 2 tracks. There is an LPC and LMFT. There's other licensures as well, but to not overwhelm you too much, we're just going to stick with those 2 for now.
Okay, so what's the difference between the 2?
So with the LPC, it's licensed professional counselor, and then LMFT is a licensed marriage and family therapist. And the main difference, we'll start off with the LPC route. One of the main differences is the type of schooling, right, and the courses required for each field. So the LPC route, the orientation kind of, not always, but sometimes, most of the time, it consists of a lot of psychotherapy, psychoanalysis, psychodynamic. If you ever heard of Sigmund Freud, it kind of derived from him, but more other people that came after him, brought in their own stuff to it.
Okay.
Let's see, so the LMFT route, it usually consists of family systems. If you ever heard of Maury Bowen or a couple more, Dr. Sparks should know.
Okay.
Dr. Sparks should know.
Okay.
Also cybernetics, feedback loops, everything is kind of framed in a systemic model, so it's like a circular. Everything is not like A causes B and that's it. It's like what caused A to go to B, and that's why B is acting like that, because of A is probably the precursor, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And
okay.
so,
that makes sense. So how do I actually start seeing clients though?
right, the good stuff. To begin the actual clinical portion of counseling, you must attend a university that is either AP accredited, that's usually for LPCs, or co-AA MFT, that's the LMFT route. But I mean, you can go to either or. There's more finer details or underlying details for it, but usually they are the ones that's accredited for LPCs and LMFTs.
Oh, okay.
So keeping that in mind. Also graduating with a master's and a doctorate level degree. Let's see. So in your master's degree, it needs to be counseling or counseling related, as well as one of the accredited courses, and practicum experience that is primarily counseling in nature. Also for both tracks, you're also going to need a practicum that consists of at least 300 clock hours. This is for the LPC route.
Okay.
At least 100 hours has to be direct hours of contact, and then the rest that can be indirect. And that's like the academic portion, as far as notes, consultations, talking with your supervisor. We'll get to that later. Everything outside of the good stuff.
Okay.
And so more so that whole academic portion of the supervised practicum that needs to be on your final transcript.
Gotcha.
And so next, after graduating with your master's or your doctoral degree, you must take your licensure exam, which for the LPC track, you must take and pass both the Texas jurisprudence exam and also the NCE exam, which is the National Counselor Examination. Okay. And that's the actual exam that once you pass it, you can begin your 3,000 hours. Okay. That's the long part.
Right. So is there a cost for the exam?
Yes. I'm glad you asked. I don't want to lie to you. But with the jurisprudence exam, it does cost $39. After passing it, you can submit it to the board for approval. I do have a couple websites that I can actually show you after we're done to actually get you started on that route.
Okay.
Once you pass the Texas jurisprudence exam and your approval, that you get the approval from the board to sit for the exam, the NCE. To register, you have to go to this nvcc.org website. You know, you can put all your demographics in, and I believe it does cost $275. The last time I remember, it possibly may have went up, but double check that. Once you do that, you also need a copy of your transcript to get that sent to the board office for approval, as well as, I think that's it actually.
Okay.
So once you're approved by the board, they will notify you by postcard, basically, or mail. They'll mail you out a letter, basically the procedure to schedule your exam.
Okay.
So as far as scheduling them, you can schedule it whenever. With the LMFT, there's a difference, kind of like a window period. I believe it's the last week of each month.
Oh.
And so with the NCE, it's usually done can be done at a school setting, a college campus, or an actual building, like kind of like a tutoring building that has just like a bunch of computers and whatnot. It's very safe, very secure, you know, keep everything confidential.
Okay.
So with the exam, once you pay for it, get registered, have your date, the studying part is the big part. And pretty much with that, the best way to prepare is to create pretty much a creative study guide, maybe, or if you want to spend a lot of money for material, it can range about $150 to $1,000 depending on how much you need. It gets costly.
That's a lot.
Yes. And so with the NCE, to break it down, it is 8 different areas. For the Council for Accreditation of Counseling and Related Educational Programs.
Okay.
In other words, KCREP.
Right.
So with this, it pretty much the NCE is 200 multiple choices. And let's see, you are allotted 3 hours and 45 minutes to finish the exam.
Okay.
So at first glance, that may seem like a very long time, but if you don't prepare for it, it can go just like that. So make sure you're taking the time out, you know, each day or whatever your study plan is, to actually fully mentally prepare for the exam.
That's some valuable information. What about the LMFT track?
So with the LMFT track, you'll still need to take the jurisprudence exam. I believe that one costs $39, around there. With that's actually a different website to actually register for that. I believe it's amftrb.com.
Okay.
.org. There's more to it, but with that, once you take the jurisprudence exam and you pass it, that's when you'll be able to actually register for the MFT exam. And so with the MFT exam, that one costs around $365.
Woo!
It is more expensive. Yes. And also the study material does range about the same, $150 to $1,000, however much you need.
Okay.
So just keep in mind to save, just save up, you know.
Right.
So the exam consists of 6 different domains: the practice of systemic therapy, assessing, hypothesizing, and diagnosing, designing and conducting treatment, evaluating ongoing processes, and terminating treatment, management of crisis situations, and maintaining ethical, legal, and professional standards. With this exam, you are allotted 4 hours to finish the exam. Like I said prior, those 4 hours run quickly.
Yeah.
So it's good to pretty much prioritize, you know, pace yourself throughout the exam. With the MFT, it does contain 180 questions. Now, the main difference between that exam and the NCE exam is that each question you get incorrectly does not count against you, like the NCE does. So with this exam, it's recommended that you just answer if you don't know it.
Okay.
Because it doesn't count against you.
Oh.
So after you take both either or, whichever route you take, the NCE, you do get your score that same day. So you will know walking out the testing site whether you passed or not.
Oh, wow.
With
Okay.
the MFT, it's more nerve-wracking, very nerve-wracking, because you get it mailed like at least a month, about 3 to 4 weeks later.
Oh, no.
So you're just sitting there waiting.
Okay.
Sitting there waiting. And you're probably thinking what's next after taking this exam.
Yes.
It's been a lot, but hang in there. So after, what's next after passing the exams, you will need to submit an application for licensure. And
Okay.
for the LPC, that would be an intern, the LPCI. For the LMFT, that would be a LMFTA, an associate.
Okay.
So that designates, you know, the intern versus the LPC, and then the marriage family therapist versus the marriage family therapist associate.
Okay.
Also, to submit for licensure, you will need to go through the process of finding a supervisor. Once you find your supervisor, you know, there's more forms you need to fill out along that side of the piece, but once you get those forms filled out, your application for licensure, and attach your passing score report, as well as your transcript, and another $200 application fee with all of this.
So I really got to save up to get this license, huh?
That or win the lotto, whichever way. So you submit all this to the state board, and you should get a notice about 3 or 4 weeks after. And how you'll get the notice, you'll either get your certificate. I can actually show you. So it'll be like a little thing like this.
Oh, okay.
So that'll come in the mail along with the big picture, or the
Okay.
big one. After that, that's where kind of the good stuff kicks in, but not really. I mean, you will be seeing clients, yes, but you'll have to obtain 3,000 hours. And so the LPC route, you will need to obtain 1,500 direct hours and 1,500 indirect. As far as the direct, it can be any like relational, individuals, couples, families, as long as you're seeing a client. And then the indirect is, you know, supervision, notes, CEUs, or different things as far as that is tailored to counseling in that field.
Okay.
Once you get all of that completed, you'll meet up with your supervisor, and that's, you know, the actual final agreement form. You send all of that in along with your logs. So make sure you're logging your hours.
Okay.
Log your hours. The paper with you and your supervisor, you send that into the board, and you'll be an LPC.
Okay.
And that should be about 3 or 4 weeks to waiting.
Wow. That is a lot. I didn't know it was so much to it.
Yeah, there's more. There's more. With the other track, the LMFT track, basically it's similar. You're submitting your licensure for LMFTA associate. You will need what else? You will need not only a $47 fee for your actual application fee, you'll need an additional $90 for the associate license fee. I don't know why the MFT track is more expensive. I'm not sure, but with that, you'll also need your final college transcripts, academic stuff to be sent in, as well a copy of your photo ID. So with the LMFTA, that license comes in about 4 to 6 weeks later. Once you're licensed, you're going to need to find a supervisor as well, and you get a job and you start accruing your hours.
Okay.
So with that, 1,500 hours needs to be direct as well, but the breakdown of the 1,500, let me see, 750 must be couples or families. It has to be relational in that sense.
Okay.
And then the remaining 1,500 hours may come from either direct clinical services or related experiences.
Okay.
Of the 3,000 hours, up to 500 needs to be supervised clinical experience. It can be transferred from a co-MT accredited doctoral program. But once you finally obtain all 3,000 hours, the 1,500 that's direct, of that 1,500, 750 needs to be couples, families, etc., and then the other 1,500 remaining of the 3,000 needs to be indirect. Once you're done with that, then you can send your stuff off with the supervisor agreement form. Whew. And then you'll be licensed as a LMFT. So pretty much after completing these tracks, once you get that license, being a counselor is an ever-growing process. You're always learning, you're always improving. Research that continues, is updated. So meaning you need to remain on top of like being updated, being up to date as far as what's going on. By that, there will be additional documentation required with CEU trainings, and that's just throughout each year you go. With that, that's pretty much the core values of counseling, ethics, and other things to be more polished.
Okay.
So you pretty much will always be learning in this field. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
So this may seem very, very overwhelming, but just keep in mind, like, all of the hard work, the sleepless nights, the exuberant money you're going to be spending on this. Don't let this deter you from, from attaining your dreams. Okay? And so it's not an easy field. If it was, everybody would be doing this.
Right.
And so, just continue to pray, ask God to guide your step every way, and I'll be rooting for you at least, but we have faith in you. So with all of that, just stay positive and keep it pushing.
I will. Thank you so much. You've shared a lot of information to me. It's definitely a lot to process, but I'm pretty sure that it's still a course of action that I want to take. It's still a direction I want to go in and pursue. So thank you so much for meeting me. I appreciate it. Hi, my name is Natasha Jones. I am a PhD student in marriage and family therapy at Texas Wesleyan. And today I want to talk to you about the 6 qualities of finding a great clinical supervisor. So you want to think about, when you think about finding a clinical supervisor, you want to kind of think of it like a little bit like dating. There's some of the things that you're looking for, some qualities that you're looking for in your date. Well, there's some qualities you want to look for in your clinical supervisor, because this is a partnership that's not just part-time, but this is going to be a long-term commitment. So you want to look at it in terms of dating, if you will. So one of the first quality you want to look for is you want to make sure that your clinical supervisor is ethical. You want to make sure that they review the codes of ethics, and they know the codes of ethics for your professional orientation. You want to have them to make sure that they're going to discuss potential ethical dilemmas with you, and explore the regulations and the laws. Now, some of the things that some of the questions you want to ask, when you're looking for a supervisor is, has there ever been a time when you faced an ethical dilemma? And if there is, then how did they handle that? How familiar are they with the state rules regarding reporting, duty to warn, things like that? So that's some of the things that you want to look for when you're looking for, clinical supervisor, as far as, making sure that they're ethical. The second thing you want to make sure that they're professional, right? So you want to make sure that they maintain appropriate boundaries. You want to make sure that when it's time for your supervision, you want to make sure that they're going to be on time. You want to make sure that they're, charging you appropriately, and not overcharging you. And you want to make sure that when you're having your discussions, that they're talking about the topics that are going to help you in your career, and discuss client issues with you, and not go on tangents about personal things and spend wasting your time and your money, because you're paying for this, on talking about issues that don't pertain to your career at all. So you want to make sure that that's one of the things. So some of the questions that you can ask for as far as professionalism is, how do they structure supervision time? How much time will you spend on case reviews and clinical skill development? How will they bill you? How will they invoice you? Will they bill you, automatically? Does it automatically come out? Will they bill you for the duration of the time? Do they bill you weekly, monthly? You want to make sure you're aware of those things so you don't have any surprises. And also, you want to find out when's the best time to meet and how often you're going to be meeting. Those are some of the things that you want to know. So the third quality is knowledgeable. Now, of course, you want to make sure that they know that you guys are working towards the same goal. So there's going to be times that you're going to have questions. And while I'm not expecting your clinical supervisor to know everything, if they claim to know everything, I would be suspicious about that also. But you want to make sure that they at least have the knowledge that you need to answer your question, or know where to get the answer to your question. So you want to make sure that they're providing you with some different resources so you can learn, so you can craft add to your skill set. You want to make sure that they're providing some books that you can read, and making sure that you're heading in that direction again. So some of the questions that you'll want to ask is, what are your favorite clinical books? Do you attend annual trainings, and continued education? That's important, because these people they're semi-responsible for your success. So you want to make sure that they're getting the training that they need as well. Do you have any favorite websites or blogs or podcasts that you can, that you can gather some more information and insight with? So the other quality is, you want to make sure that you are compatible. Okay, so this kind of goes back to what I was talking about as far as dating, but unlike dating and clinical supervision, you can ask about kids on the first date. And so what I mean by that is, if you don't work with children, you want to make sure that you're not working with a supervisor that works with children and their whole conversation is about children. You're going to be completely lost. That means you're not compatible. So you want to make sure that they, if you're strictly on adults or couples, you want to make sure that your supervisor works with the same population that you do, or at least are very comfortable and familiar with the population that you work with, so that they can provide you the appropriate guidance. And so you want to make sure that that you guys have the same interests. Now, even if you don't have the same theoretical orientation, you want to make sure that they at least know something about it. So if you're solution focused and they're Bowen, you want to make sure that they at least know something about solution focused therapy, so that you can get the answers to questions that you need, or so you can have the same dialogue when you ask a question. So again, some of the questions you can ask your potential supervisor are, what client population do you prefer to work with? What type of clinical experience do you have? And what theories or interests do you have, do you use when working with clients? So those are some of the questions that you want to ask, so that you can, kind of gauge if you guys are a good fit, for each other. And then the fifth quality that you want to look for, and this is very important, you want to make sure that that your clinical supervisor is someone that can also be a good mentor for you. Because like I said in the beginning, this isn't a fly-by-night type of relationship. This is a relationship that you want to have on a long-term basis. This is a commitment. And so you want to make sure that this is somebody who can mentor you, even not only during your supervision time, during your internship time frame, but you want to make sure that this is someone that you can go to afterwards. Because believe me, when you get out there on your own, if you decide to go into private practice, or even if you work in a work setting, you still want to be able to have someone you can go to kind of bounce some ideas off of, or someone whose footsteps that you can kind of mimic to go into until you find your own flow in this field. So you want to make sure that you have someone that is a good mentor, also. So again, some of those questions that you can ask is, do you attend consultation or supervision groups? You want to make sure that they're still honing in on their craft, as well. Do you attend or participate in any networking groups? This is some stuff that you can, that way they can refer you to some of these groups and some of these networking organizations, because believe me, you're going to want to definitely build your networking profile after you graduate, after you get licensed. You're going to need these folks, because if you have someone that comes to you that, for instance, again, I'll use children. If you don't work with children, you want to be able to go to your network of colleagues and be able to say, hey, I have some kids over here that need a therapist. I know your work, I know your work ethic, I know that you're a good fit I think you're a good fit for this family. But if you don't have those networks built up, then it'll be challenging for you to be able to do your due diligence for your client and refer them to someone that's beneficial for them. And then last but not least, one of the last qualities that I want to talk to you about is convenience. You want to make sure that that your supervision is convenient for you. Now let me tell you what I mean by that. Now the dictionary definition of convenient is fitting in well with a person's needs, activities, and plans. Convenience does not mean finding the cheapest person. So while we want to make sure that supervision fits in our budget, we don't want to just go to the cheapest person, that we can find, because sometimes you get what you pay for. Just saying. So finding a good, convenient supervisor means that, making sure the location is good, that works well for both of you. Making sure that they have more than one platform that they can provide supervision on, such as doing webcam supervision with you. Is supervision only in their office or stuff like that? So you want to make sure that those are some things that you want to make sure that the convenience of the sessions work well for you also. Again, not just going for the cheapest therapist supervision that you can find, supervisor that you can find. So some of the questions that you can ask your potential supervisor is, where and when can we meet? How long and how often do we meet? And if I need to reach out outside of supervision, how do I do that? So you want to make sure that they are able to answer those questions for you. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you the red flags to look for, because not all clinical supervisors are created equally. So there are some red flags that you want to be mindful of. And so some of the red flags that you want to be mindful of is, inappropriate or unethical clinical behavior. While I use the scenario of dating, of course, we know we can't date our supervisors, right? So we want to make sure that their behavior is ethical. So if they're displaying unethical behavior, that's a red flag, run for the hills. Inappropriate or unethical professional behavior, having conversations that are very offensive or inappropriate or just don't benefit you, and that's the majority of the time what's going on, then again, that's another red flag that you want to be aware of, and you want to get out of Dodge. Violations on their record. So you definitely want to make sure that they have no violations. If they have violations on their record, then that means that they're probably going to teach you some of those same inappropriate behaviors, and you'll end up with those same violations. So make sure that they don't have any violations. Again, going back to my dating scenario, do your due diligence. You got to do some research on your supervisor. It's okay. This is someone, again, that you're talking about having a long-term committed relationship with. So do your due diligence and make sure that they don't have any violations on their record, right? So discriminatory behavior, that's another violation. If they're having if they had some issues of discriminating against, folks, then definitely you don't want to use that person as a clinical supervisor. That means you're not a good fit. Personal or unaddressed mental health or substance use issues. That's a big one. You are the clinical supervisee. You are not their therapist. So you want to make sure that they're not using your supervision sessions as a therapy session. That's a definite red flag. And then the last one that I can think of is breaking the rules of confidentiality. Even though you are a supervisee, they're still held under the same standards of under HIPAA that they would if you were a client. the information that you guys are discussing, you're discussing your client issues. So you don't want them going and telling other folks that they're not supposed to be talking to about it. So you want to make sure that they are maintaining confidentiality, and that you also can feel safe to go to them to talk about your, to staff client issues and review client cases with them in the event that those things come up. So that's just a quick overview of some of the qualities that you want to look for when you're looking for supervision. I wish you luck and continued success, and thank you for your attention.
My name is Tanya Alexander, and I am in the process of working on my PhD at Texas Wesleyan University. I wanted to take a few moments to talk about the benefits of joining AA-MFT, and whichever state you're in, also a state division. Sometimes it's through AMFT, but here in Texas we have the Texas Association of Marriage and Family Therapists, which is separate from AA-MFT. It's an additional membership. However, there are some benefits of considering joining both. I'll start by talking a little bit about AMFT and the membership benefits. Part of the benefits is just dedicating yourself and also a commitment towards the practice of marital and family therapy for students and for research. And some of the benefits that you get when you join are a discount on the CE or continuing education credits and conferences that they have annually. Some of the other benefits are discounts on some of the resources and materials, including the Journal of Marital and Family Therapy through AMFT, a publication, as well as other books published by AMFT. You also have access to free legal and ethical consultations through AMFT, and they will also refer you to somebody associated in your state. One of the benefits as well, similar to AMFT, of joining the TAMFT, or Texas Association of Marital and Family Therapy, is that you also get a discount if you are a student. You get access to workshops that are discounted. Some of them are also free. There's a lot of resources specific to the state of Texas, and also access to resources in the state of Texas, such as if you need to talk with a lawyer for consultation of any legal or ethical issues. I know there are a lot of added costs by adding these memberships. However, they've been invaluable to me over the course of years, particularly AAMFT. I've been a member of AMFT for 12 years now, and I've used a lot of the resources on the website, consulted for legal and ethical issues in 3 different states that I've been licensed in, and have really felt it invaluable. I love connecting with people at the annual conferences. The trainings are really top-notch. This year I am going to be joining the TAMFT, and I expect the same as well. I'm so looking forward to having these continue to be a resource for me for my time here, definitely as a student, and for years to come. Thank you.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. My name is Dion. Thank you so much for coming to therapy today. And what is your name?
It's Emily.
Emily, how are you doing, Emily?
I'm good. I'm good. A little nervous. This will have my first time coming to therapy, but I thought it was time.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you coming and, you know, taking the first step. And I want to thank you first for filling out the paperwork. I did receive it. And we just went over the informed consent and the rights and responsibility. Do you have any questions with that?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be jotting down some little things that you say just so I can remember and to go back to it. So I don't want to interrupt you when you're talking. So if you see me just looking away, I'm just jotting down some things, okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what brings you in today. How can I help you?
Okay, I am a nurse and I have, I've been working from home, doing some billing for the medical company right now. I'm engaged. We're supposed to be married in about 6 months, and we have 2 younger kids. My son is 5 and my daughter is 3. Yesterday, I had to call the cops on my fiance. Kind of turned into a domestic violence situation, and today I just been kind of sitting at home and reflecting. What are my next steps? What should I do as far as our relationship? Should we even get married now at this point? I think about my kids. They saw and witnessed a lot of things yesterday. And even CPS came to my home this morning, which was kind of scary. It made me realize just how serious, I don't know, their situation with my fiance really is,
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm scared, I'm overwhelmed, just trying to make the best decision for everybody.
Okay, well, I can understand you have a lot going on. So I first want to tell you, it's very brave of you to, number one, call the police. I know that takes a lot for you to do that. So I think that takes courage, and for you to actually go through with that call. And I know it's hard for you for your kids to witness that. So I think that you're taking the right steps and to try to figure out what's next. And hopefully I can help you try to, figure out what path you need to take.
Yeah, I haven't always been so brave. My cousin was killed in a domestic violence relationship this past December. Mm-hmm. And when everything was going on, I saw my daughter's face, and I just kept thinking to myself, I did not want to end up like my cousin and have my kids not have a mother.
Wow. Yeah. I know that was hard for you to go through that, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And you don't want your kids to have to be without their mother. So if they don't have their mother and their father is in jail because of, killing their mom, then who do they have?
Yeah, I don't have the best relationship with my family, so that would be kind of scary.
So what support system do you have right now?
Excuse me. I have an aunt who is kind of supportive. Mm-hmm. She has her own life, and her wife, and I know they do a lot of traveling and stuff. But she's there for me, and she talks to me a lot. I really do appreciate my Thea. My mother, she is around and involved, but my mother wasn't the best mother to me, so I wouldn't want my kids to be raised by her. They're all telling me to leave him and leave him alone, and it's not always that simple or easy. You just want to talk to someone objective that I know that they care about me. But it's not so easy just to hear you deserve better and leave.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you just have to, figure out what's best for you and for your kids. And I know it's hard to, you know, try to make that decision, and having CPS come out has to be kind of scary for you.
Yes, yes. I was kind of concerned why they were here in the first place. But I do understand they want to make sure that the kids wasn't hurt in the process, and they're putting some pressure on us about what we could do with our relationship, because, you know, I know that it's emotionally hard for kids to see and hear their parents fighting. And I know I may have said some things to cause him to hit me too. So I do want to be better at that.
Well, you know, yeah, you never can cause someone to, you know, abuse you. It's a choice. And, you know, we all are responsible for our actions. You're responsible for the words that come out of your mouth, and you have to take ownership, which you are. But he has to take ownership for his reactions. You know,
Right.
It's never okay to hit someone. You know, you have to protect yourself, of course, but you know, he has to want to help himself. Only thing that you can do is to get the help that you need. And that's what you're doing today. And that's great that you're doing that. And, you know, whenever you're dealing with your emotions and your reactions, the only two things that you can control is your actions and your attitude. You know, those are the things that you can control. You can't control anything else. And that's something that we'll work on.
Okay.
You can't control what he does. You can't control what your children do. But those are the two things that you have control over.
Yeah, and I think I want to learn that, you know, how to have control over how to deal with my own emotions at very heated moments, so that I don't, you know, I have better relationships, you know, whether that's with him or with someone else, and with my kids.
And I think you're taking that initial step. You know, sometimes when you're growing up and you don't have the right role models in place, you kind of learn on a fly. And it
Right.
seems like that's what you did growing up. You didn't have a good role model. Your mother was there, but she didn't give you the tools that you needed to teach you how to be a mom. So you're learning.
Yeah, I know she has a lot to do with my attitude and
Mhm.
some of the things that I do. I don't trust people to be there for me, because she wasn't there for me, you know? And so I always have this fear of being abandoned or let down. And so I do know that I had to learn the hard way.
Mhm.
And maybe I've learned some things wrong, you know, about how to take care of myself. But I'm open to learning new ways.
And the good thing is, we all can always learn something new. You're never too old to learn something new. And it can start today.
Yeah, I think I want to do that.
Yeah. And, you know, the first step was yesterday. And that's by contacting the police because you knew something was wrong. Because you
Yes.
didn't want to end up like your cousin.
That still hurts so much too, though. I don't think I really dealt with that loss or
Mhm.
that death either.
And yeah, we can work on that because you haven't grieved yet. So we have to allow you to process that loss.
Yeah, I try to forget about it and not think about what happened to her. But yesterday I remembered everything.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that memory came back at the right moment.
Yeah.
You know. And so we're going to work on you processing that loss. We're going to work on building you up. to give you the tools you need to make whatever decision you need to make for you and for your family,
Right.
you know, so you can figure out which way you want to go in life.
Yeah, those sounds like good goals. I do need to find who I am again outside of this relationship. Because at some point, I think I would have never put up with the things I've dealt with him, and I need to deal with the loss of my cousin.
Yes. And we can definitely do that. We can definitely do that. I know it's a lot going on right now, but I think you making some great choices in the last 24 hours. That was, you know, calling the police just to save yourself and to save your kids. And, you know, reaching out and calling me to get your life back on track. You know, I'm willing to help you walk down that road. It's not going to be an easy road,
Right.
you know, but I'm willing to help you, you know, navigate and see what we can do to help you figure out which way you need to go.
Okay.
You know, you know, you very, you know, smart. You're a nurse, you know, so you have that caring, you know, heart. You care about other people. I know you care about your kids. You know, I know you care about your fiance, but I want you to care about yourself.
Yeah.
And I want you to put yourself first right now.
Yes, that's what I need to do.
Okay. So we'll do that, and we'll meet. Do you think maybe once a week work for you? What do you think? Once a week or every other week? What do you think? What
I
works
think
for you?
once a week to I think once a week to start out will be good. I think I
Okay.
need that support. We have a restraining order for 30 days, and I want to be ready.
Okay.
When the restraining order is up, to have some kind of idea of what decision I want to make.
Okay.
Or do I allow him to move back in the home, or do we separate for a little while? So I think weekly will be good right now.
Okay. Absolutely. We can do that. Okay. So what we'll do is just schedule a time to meet up again next week, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Dion. I really appreciate you talking with me today.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.